In this video, we'll be taking a look at 5 MLB games happening on August 1st, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 10 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 5 MLB games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start: if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Minnesota Twins versus Cleveland Guardians. The Minnesota Twins, sitting at 51-57, are kicking off a 3-game series against the Cleveland Guardians, who are 54-54, this Friday in the American League Central, and it's bound to be a gritty divisional clash as both teams scrap for better positioning late in the season. The Twins just shipped out one of their top arms, closer Juan Duran, over to the Phillies, which leaves a glaring gap in their bullpen that's going to hurt in tight spots. Stepping up to the hill for Minnesota is Joe Ryan, who's put together a strong year with a 10-5 record and a sharp 2.82 earned run average, giving them at least some stability in the rotation despite all the upheaval. Over on the Guardians side, they're countering with Gavin Williams, who's been reliable enough at 6-4 with a 3.51 earned run average, keeping his team in games without too many blowups. Minnesota went all in on shaking things up before the trade deadline, dealing away big names like Carlos Correa, Juan Duran, Griffin Jax, Louis Varland, Danny Coulombe, Harrison Bader, Willie Castro, Brock Stewart, and Chris Paddock, basically gutting a chunk of their active roster in a fire sale that could reshape how they finish out the year. It'll take some time to see the full fallout from moving 9 guys off the 25-man squad, but at least they kept hold of Byron Buxton, who's been swinging a hot bat at .284 with 23 homers so far, though he's sidelined until August 6th nursing a rib injury, which is a tough break for their lineup right now. The Guardians played it much quieter at the deadline, avoiding the big splashes, and they've been putting up solid numbers lately, averaging 5.2 runs per game over their last 6 outings, compared to the Twins' meager 2.8 in that same span, showing Cleveland's bats are heating up while Minnesota's are sputtering. Even with the Twins holding a slight edge in starting pitching for this one, their offense just doesn't inspire much faith at the moment, especially after all those trades stripped away some key contributors. Cleveland's simply playing sharper ball overall these days, and when you factor in everything from recent form to roster stability, it makes sense to ride with the Guardians to grind out a victory here on Friday night. As our first pick for this matchup, the Cleveland Guardians money line is our full game side pick. Joe Ryan and Gavin Williams have both been lights out this year, turning in the kind of starts that keep scores down and force hitters to earn every base. These two arms should hold the opposing lineups in check, especially since both offenses have been scraping by without much firepower all season long, often leaving runners stranded and failing to string hits together. Look for Ryan and Williams to each chew up 5 or 6 innings while keeping the damage minimal, setting up what feels like a classic low-scoring grind, maybe something in the range of 4-2 where every run feels hard-fought and pivotal. On top of that, Cleveland's been leaning under with a 54-48-4 mark on totals, and the Twins aren't far off at 58-45-5 for unders, so those patterns point to another game that stays tight and doesn't explode into a slugfest. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Houston Astros versus Boston Red Sox. 2 American League playoff contenders are clashing this Friday as the Houston Astros head to Boston to kick off a 3-game series. And it's got all the makings of a tight battle between teams fighting for position. I figure Hunter Brown might run into some trouble here, especially since the Red Sox have been putting up solid offense numbers lately, finding ways to string hits together and drive in runs when it counts. The Astros haven't been as sharp on the road this season, often leaving opportunities on the table away from home. And overall, this Houston squad has hit a rough patch in their most recent games, struggling to keep momentum going against tough opponents. As our first pick for this matchup, the Boston Red Sox money line is our full game side pick. The Red Sox are rolling into this one after piling up 21 runs across their last 2 outings, keeping the heat on Toronto and New York as they chase down spots in the American League East standings with consistent pressure from their lineup. Boston has been tough to beat at Fenway, holding a 34-21 record when playing in front of the home crowd this year, while the Astros have managed a decent but not dominant 27-23 mark on the road so far. Houston's bats have come alive too, scratching out 16 runs in their past couple of games, which has helped them maintain a comfortable lead atop the American League West despite some inconsistencies, with Brown taking the hill for the Astros, and considering he's given up 1, 3, 4, and 6 earned runs over his previous 4 starts, it looks like both sides could light up the scoreboard and turn this into a back-and-forth affair with plenty of action. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. New York Yankees versus Miami Marlins. The New York Yankees, holding a 60-49 record with 51-58 on the run line and 49-56-4 over-under, are set to face off against the Miami Marlins, who sit at 52-55 with 64-43 on the run line and 48-56-23 over-under, as they kick off a 3-game series this Friday evening under the lights. The Yankees are rolling into this game hungry for their 4th win in a row, still hot on the trail of those scorching Blue Jays up in the standings. They've been just okay away from home with a 26-27 mark so far this season, while the Marlins have scraped by at 24-29 in their own park. Miami's been on a nice little tear lately, no doubt, and they're throwing Junk out there to start, a guy who's given up 7 earned runs and 14 hits over his last 10 innings on the mound. The Yankees, meanwhile, are countering with Rodden, who's been stingy, letting in just 5 earned runs across his past 18.1 innings of work. I'm not thrilled with how New York has handled business on the road overall this year, but they've got a clear edge when it comes to the starting pitching matchup. As our first pick for this matchup, the New York Yankees money line is our full game side pick. The Yankees have found their swing lately, putting the bat on the ball with real purpose and piling up the runs when it counts. They've crossed the plate 26 times in their most recent 5 games away from Yankee Stadium, and just this week, they racked up 21 runs across 4 clashes with the Rays, showing they can produce even against tough arms. On top of that, Junk has had a rough go against these Yankees in the past, coughing up 4 runs in just 3 career innings facing their lineup, which could spell trouble right from the jump. Miami's bats have been lively too, especially in front of the home crowd, where they've notched 24 runs over their last 6 games at the park, finding ways to string hits and capitalize on mistakes. The Yankees' arms have shown some cracks lately, getting tagged for an average of 5.7 runs per game across their previous 10 outings, which leaves the door open for opponents to keep the scoreboard moving. Lately, the over has been hitting hard in Yankee road games, cashing in at a strong 8-2-1 clip over the past 11, pointing to a pattern of higher totals when they're traveling. I'm looking for runs to pile up in bunches here, with both sides capable of lighting it up and turning this into a back-and-forth slugfest that keeps the umps busy. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Los Angeles Dodgers versus Tampa Bay Rays. The MLB season picks back up on Friday after a light 3-game slate on Thursday, and we've got an exciting showdown lined up between the Los Angeles Dodgers, sitting at 63-46, and the Tampa Bay Rays, promising some solid action as both squads look to bounce back from recent stumbles. In this matchup, the Los Angeles Dodgers are facing off against the Tampa Bay Rays, with each team coming off a defeat and eager to turn things around right here. Taking the mound for the Dodgers is Clayton Kershaw, while the Rays counter with Shane Baz, setting up an intriguing battle between these two arms that could dictate the flow of the game from the start. Kershaw had a bit of a rough patch through July, surrendering 26 hits and 11 runs across 21 innings on the hill, which raised some eyebrows about his command and endurance during that stretch. What's really sticking out in a worrying way is how he couldn't push past the 5th inning in his most recent pair of outings, leaving his team hanging a little early and putting extra pressure on the bullpen to cover more ground. That said, there are some encouraging signs too, like how he's kept the long ball in check with just 1 homer allowed and limited free passes to only 5 over his last 4 starts, showing he can still mix pitches effectively and avoid big mistakes when he's on point. Up against him is a Rays lineup that's been sputtering lately, hitting a meager .204 over their past 7 games while scraping together barely more than 3 runs per contest on average, which feels like a slump that Kershaw could exploit to regain his footing and prove he's still got that ace stuff, especially now that the Dodgers are getting key pieces back from injury and rounding into form. For the Rays, Baz is stepping up to start, but he's been leaky lately, coughing up 10 runs in just his last 9 innings of work, which hasn't done his team any favors. On top of that, Tampa Bay has dropped every one of his previous 5 starts, creating a tough pattern that doesn't inspire much confidence heading into this one, and I suspect it might continue today given the firepower on the other side. The Dodgers are no slouches at the plate, ranking 4th in batting average, 7th in total hits, and 2nd in runs scored across the league, which underlines their ability to make consistent contact and drive guys home when opportunities arise. They've been swinging it well recently too, batting .257 over their last 6 games, suggesting the lineup is clicking and ready to capitalize on any mistakes from Baz or the Rays staff. Beyond the starters, the Rays do hold an edge in overall bullpen numbers for the season, but the Dodgers relievers have been downright stingy, allowing only 1 earned run across their past 5 outings, a hot streak that's tough to match, and could be the difference if this turns into a late-inning grind. All in all, I'm not thrilled with where Kershaw's at form-wise, but the Dodgers just seem stronger when you stack up their hitting punch and that locked-in bullpen against what Tampa's bringing. As our first pick for this matchup, the Los Angeles Dodgers money line is our full-game side pick. The Rays have hit a rough spot overall, but they're still capable of chipping in some offense and putting crooked numbers on the board, like they showed in that recent series against the Yankees where they found ways to rally and keep games competitive. We've also noticed their bullpen, once a real strength and tough to crack, has started to slip and give up more runs than usual, opening the door for opponents to pile on in the middle and late frames. Flipping to the Dodgers, I reckon Kershaw might have his hands full and run into some bumps here, but their bats have been heating up nicely and should provide enough support to keep the pressure on throughout. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Pittsburgh Pirates versus Colorado Rockies. The Pittsburgh Pirates are set to take on the Colorado Rockies at Coors Field this Friday, and it's always a wild ride when games go down in that high-altitude spot where balls just seem to fly forever. You could make an argument for backing the Rockies as home underdogs, especially with how hitter-friendly Coors Field can be, turning routine flies into homers and boosting offenses left and right. But Andrew Heaney has put up some solid outings there in the past, keeping things under control despite the thin air. The real kicker is that the Pirates keep grinding out results, finding ways to scratch across runs and hold leads even when the odds stack against them. So I reckon they'll keep that momentum rolling and handle business in this one without too much fuss. As our first pick for this matchup, the Pittsburgh Pirates money line is our full game side pick. Kicking off this series, we've got a pitching duel between Pittsburgh's Andrew Heaney and Colorado's Antonio Senzatella, and even though both teams aren't exactly lighting up the scoreboard with their bats most nights, this setup screams potential for a bunch of runs given the park and the arms involved. Heaney started the year strong, holding a tidy 2.5 earned run average right through May and looking like he had everything dialed in. But things have slipped since then, pushing his overall mark up to 4.79 as he's given up more hits and mistakes in key spots. On top of that, he's had a real tough time away from home, with his earned run average ballooning to 6.45 on the road compared to a much sharper 3.25 back at PNC Park, and hitters are tagging him for a .265 average in those away games versus .232 when he's pitching in familiar territory, which doesn't bode well for keeping the Rockies quiet in a place like Coors where the ball carries so easily. Flipping to Senzatella, he's been one of the roughest starters around this season, stuck with a bloated 6.68 earned run average and a 1.84 WHIP over 102.1 innings, while opponents are crushing him at a .349 clip with a hefty .951 OPS. That shows just how much damage they're doing every time he takes the hill. The relievers behind him aren't helping much either, as Colorado's bullpen sits near the bottom at 28th in the league with a 5.15 earned run average, leaking runs late and failing to slam the door when starters falter. Put it all together, and it's hard to see this turning into some low-key pitcher's battle, more like a game where both sides trade blows and the scoreboard keeps ticking up. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.